And we are live.
What?
What's up? We are live.
Are we live?
We're live. We're live now. Yeah, we're kicking it old school.
Are we like Johnny
All right.
Five?
Johnny Five.
Johnny Five is alive. I missed that movie. But welcome to the Heroes World podcast presents the Sidekick Show. Unfortunately, Joey is saving the world right now, so it's me and Rob.
Yes.
So we're gonna still kick it with the show must go on. So we got the news, right. We got some new releases. We're gonna play the intro, and we'll see if it mucks up or not, and then we'll go into things right after that. And we're back.
Wow.
All right, so I don't know. Did it sound funky to you?
No, that sounded amazing. It always
sounds fine to me. Okay.
No, that sounded great. It hasn't sounded like it. That's how it should sound, the introduction. And it hasn't sounded like that in weeks. So I don't know. Maybe Joey's the bad luck.
I don't. Yeah, maybe it's the three linking together outsyncs the thing. But so we're thanks for tuning in, folks. It's the John and Rob show again. Normally we have Joey with us, and we are the Sidekick Show, but we're kind of doing. Yep. Show must go on. She cannot make it. She's out saving the world, so we're gonna miss her. Maybe she'll pop in later. But we've got still some breaking news. I don't know how much things you got there, Rob, but I've got a couple new releases. Yeah. So I'll start with that. Sounds good.
Yeah. Tell us what's happening in the store. What's dropping in the store this week?
Yeah. All right. So we got the books, and again, I'm just bringing you the hits. I'm not announcing everything here because otherwise that would take like the whole day. Maybe not the whole day, but take a little while. So I'm gonna whip out my book here that Rob likes to make fun of. But let's see here.
Because you were investigating.
See, you were in the bar. You were in the bar. Yeah. See, I don't remember how it went.
See, okay, there's a guy that walked in the bar. See, and he got a hat. And the hat, he took off the hat, right? You see, and he ordered a drink, and then that drink, he put it.
This is not how that show actually went back then, is it?
And the bartender said, "Hey, that guy looks fishy. I don't know. Something about that guy. I don't know. Hey, see."
I don't think they needed to write that down, but yeah, that was Rob's.
But that book is big enough.
Gangster play. Anyways, okay, let's get into the comics before we get too carried away. All right, so for the Marvel end, we've got Amazing Spider-Man 52 and 52.LR because Marvel, you're killing me here. Last Rights is the current Spider-Man book, but it's Spider-Man's a good book, so I guess if you get double dose of Spider-Man in the week, it's not the worst thing that could happen. X of Swords continues. We've got 3 books for that, so happy wallets. Excalibur, Marauders, and Wolverine. And then we do have Iron Man number 3. We do have it's not called Doctor Strange, but it's called Strange Academy. That book's been really hot. From Boom Studios, we've got Power Rangers number 1. So the sister book that's going to go along with Mighty Morphin that dropped last week. It looks really good, so I'm looking forward to that one. Also from Boom Studios, We Only Find Them When They're Dead number 5, and 7 Secrets number 4. And then we'll jump over to Hellboy. So we've got Hellboy and the BRPD, 7 Wives Club one shot coming out from Mike Magnolia and Adam Hughes doing the art. So that'll be pretty interesting. And then from DC, we've got Superman 27, Detective 1030 or 1030, Flash 765, Wonder Woman 766. So DC's really gotten up there in the numbers, and they're keeping the numbering.
Good, and as they should be, because we're not stupid. We understand legacy numbering.
Yeah, we can figure it out. Yes. And then we also got Dark Knights, Dark Metal, Infinite Hours, Extreme number 1.
Okay, so that makes no sense. But aside the legacy numbering,
because long ass titles are great. And then we do have the DC is coming out with a Punchline special. So this new character they introduced, Joker's new girlfriend, Punchline, is getting her own number 1 kind of one shot. It's going to be 48 pages. It's going to be written by Tinian and Sam. Can't even read my own writing here. Sam Johns. We'll go with that. I could be completely wrong. I'll fact check that later.
It's not Jeff John. You know that.
No, it's definitely not him though. So this character is Tinian's creation, and he's always stated that she is not a flash in the pan type character. She's going to be here to stay. So it's pretty cool. They posted some preview pages up on the internet, and it looks like she starts off as her name is Alexis K, and she starts off as kind of like involved in some type of Joker hostage situation where she is a victim, and then we're going to see how she becomes radicalized into the Joker ideology and stuff like that. So that sounds pretty cool. And then we also have, I think that's it for comics. So that was the big one that I saw this week. And then for toys, we've got Transformers War for Cybertron deluxe figures. We've got Airwave coming in, Quintesson Alicon, who's like a little shark guy, Smokescreen, and RC. And then we do have a bunch of the new McFarlane figures coming in. I'm not sure which ones are. I was trying to figure it out, but we're getting 4 new styles in. Hopefully it's like the Flash and some of the other characters that they have announced. Nice. So I'm really looking forward to getting those. And then for Magic, this week is the new Commander Legends release. Like, I don't know how fast time's flying by, but we got a new set of Magic on our hands this week. So you'll be able to get packs early this week for our Commander Legends pre-release, which is going to be a take-home pre-release, so you're gonna be able to come in and buy packs. We unfortunately won't be able to play in the store, but hopefully soon. And then we do have a brand new game coming in called Flesh and Blood, which is a new collectible card game which has magic elements, but it's got more of an RPG slant to it. So that's pretty much the rundown for what we've got coming new to the shop this week. So yeah, it's quite a bit of stuff, and there's actually more stuff that I'm probably forgetting. Bunch of other card releases and things like that. So we will get most of that stuff on Wednesday. Some of the other stuff like the Magic and stuff you'll see Friday. So that wraps up my comics, and let's get Rob. Welcome everybody. We see a bunch of comments in the chat here. We're going to get to you in a second. But Rob, I think, wants to talk about the news.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know what? I'm not sure if you're aware of this, John, but there was another big major news story that kind of dominated the world this past 6-7 days. So there wasn't really much in the terms of like pop culture news, but you know, your boy here did some digging around. I found some stuff. Are you a big video game guy?
I used to think I was. I'm kind of into it now. I'm not super into it. So
you're strictly seeing the Candy Crush.
I'm definitely really... I'm kind of like a window. What would you call that? Like a window shopper, or like a I'll watch over people's shoulder as they get into these hardcore games, and I'll play some of them.
So that's just creepy. Okay, fair.
Yeah. Okay,
definitely. So as you know,
you got windows in your front yard with the blinds open. I'm watching you play video games.
I'm gaming. Who is behind me? So listen, this past fall, the Avengers game came out from Square Enix, and this was, I guess, showcased a couple years ago, and it got a lot of really bad press. Well, that bad press accounted for about $63 million in lost revenue from Square Enix. That the game tanked. It sold only 3 million copies, which when you put it into somewhat of a, like, you're like, wow, that seems like a lot, but actually it wasn't. I think they needed to sell like about 10 times that to be able to make their money back. So Square Enix losing $63 million in that Avengers game. I never played it. I don't know what they were going. You played the demo. See, a lot of people did not like the demo.
I played the beta, and it was decently long. It was like 7 levels, and I thought it was good for what it was. It played kind of like an Uncharted, like just kind of like a 3/4 view, like kind of beat 'em up kind of adventure game. And I thought it was good. You end up in the Avengers mansion or whatever the hell the thing was, a helicarrier, and you could walk around everyone's rooms and mess with their stuff and change your costumes and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool, but I can't believe it tanked so badly.
Well, you have definitely not sold me on ever purchasing the game. So, way to go. Now, I know that Sony were apparently, if you were a PS4 fan, you got to, if you have the Spider-Man game, you could have Spider-Man as one of the Avengers in the game. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but whatever, still losing $63 million. Speaking of Spider-Man, dude, so Tom Holland, we just talked about this on the show like last week. He had just finished filming Uncharted on like Saturday or Sunday, and then jumped into Spider-Man 3 on the Monday. And then the dude just posted a photo from the set on Wednesday on his Instagram feed. You have it?
Yeah, give me a second. I did not.
How much more of a tee up did you need on that one? I was just out of curiosity.
Like 5 more seconds probably would have helped.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So anyways, he posts. Now I don't know if this is supposed to be like humorous or if it's actually going to be part of the movie. I mean, we do know a lot of television shows are doing they are integrating the whole COVID experience that we're having into their shows. Will we start seeing this in movies? I don't know. But at any rate, that's the first photo.
I think that's just an on-set picture. Like if you look at any leaks of people doing stuff on set, They're all wearing masks. I don't know if it's for the cameras or part of their safety precautions. I'm sure this was a joke. I don't know.
Well,
I feel like
we'll
no one's
see.
gonna incorporate it into their stuff yet.
Could you
Yeah,
imagine?
I feel like we're. Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I feel like we're like a year away from people just starting to go, all right, this is the reality now. We cast people from the eyes up, and everyone's wearing masks.
Mask on mask. I don't know. You'll see. But I apparently news is, or at least the word is, somebody from the marketing department over at Marvel has said that we will see a teaser or a trailer for Spider-Man 3 by the end of this year, which is astounding to me considering that they only will have been filming for about 6 to 8 weeks. So at any rate, something to look forward to for the end of the year.
And it won't be out for another 5 years anyways.
That's right. Yes. Speaking about things filming, listen, we're going into full spoiler territories here for a quick second. So if you haven't seen The Mandalorian episode 1 of season 2, just plug your ears, go, la, 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 la. We all know who the surprise character was that showed up at the end of the episode. It looks like that character, I guess I could do it without saying spoilers, but that character, the surprise character at the end of episode 1, he's going to have that guy who his name rhymes with Roba Get. He will have his own.
That's what you came up with, Roba Get?
Yeah. He's gonna have his own show. They're doing filming a miniseries. Starts filming this month. No word on Disney Plus in terms of how the length of it, but yes, it's going to be a Robo Get miniseries dropping on Disney Plus. Switching gears quickly to DC. Speaking about streaming services, John, you sent this to me earlier today. So there's like a really weird conspiracy. We've talked ad nauseum about the Snyder Cut and how excited I am for it. It just feels like every 2 weeks we get new information coming in about the Snyder Cut. So somebody on Twitter and through Vero, I guess, which is Zack Snyder's social media Twitter type Facebook platform. This guy has a
Who
fan
uses it
theory.
besides Zack Snyder? I
don't know. But this guy had a fan theory about how Robin dies. Okay. And,
he had
a
crazy write-up, right? Like a ridiculous write-up for this theory, right?
So the guy said, if Zack and David, which is like, I don't know who David were, stick with the story of having Joker brutally beat Robin to death, then set his body on fire, then there's no doubt in my mind that it happened in Wayne Manor, and the fire is what left the house looking like that. And then it says, another thing to think about is if this is true, and that Joker probably knows Batman's true identity, but chooses to keep it a secret as he doesn't want his twisted back and forth relationship with Batman to end. So you're like, well, that's an interesting fan theory because we don't really know why Wayne Manor is burnt to the ground. And you're like, okay, that's interesting. And then Zack Snyder liked the theory. I could be telling you this, and it will never come to fruition, and it could all be like not, and it's stupid. And the fact that I'm not even mentioning it is ridiculous. However, it has sent some of the interwebs a little bit afire, thinking that Zack Snyder liking this fan theory means that there may be some truth to it. It's plausible. I have no idea if it's going to happen or not, or come to fruition. Who knows? Also sticking with DC.
Is that internet detective, like when you're on Instagram, like a couple in a celebrity couple like stops following the other, you're like, oh, they're broken up. It's like that's just the way it is. Zack Snyder liked that tweet, so I guess it must be it's gonna happen.
Well, that maybe the detective is you, and it's you with that big book and saying, okay, see here, see, there was a fire at the Wayne Manor, see, we know Robin got killed, see? And
your 50s gangster play needs some work.
Speaking of DC Comics, so obviously we had talked about on this show, and we actually have a full episode on the YouTube page and on our the Apple podcast and wherever else you listen to this show about the DC Bloodbath, which we called it, I think it was back in August. And at the time, they had removed some of the editors-in-chiefs and put 2 co-editor-in-chiefs in. Well, they promoted one of them. That's Marie Javins. She has now been promoted to the editor-in-chief following that restructuring. The person that she was with, I can't remember her name because she replaced Bob Harris and Brian Cunningham. And I don't remember who that person was. At any rate, that other woman and Jim Lee are working together still, and reporting to Marie Javen. So at any rate, DC seems to be pretty happy and excited about her being involved. I don't really know her. I think she comes from the world of magazines and books, but whatever. As long as they figure out what's happening, that would be great. If we can get out of this future state unscathed, I'll be even happier. But that's just my commentary. And I guess finally, I guess we're going to end it off with some DC news because James Gunn. So first of all, I guess you can go in 8 million different directions here because Xbox Series X and S are coming out. I believe it's this coming week. If you're in Toronto, there's a giant Xbox in the Harborfront bar. There's like a massive Xbox, and they have like an LCD or LED screens on the front, and it's showing art from Francis Manipul, who's a Toronto native. So that's really cool. If you're in Toronto area, head down. You got great weather right now, and check out this giant live Xbox floating in the water. That all being said, James Gunn had posted a picture on his Instagram over the weekend that Xbox and Microsoft sent him a personalized Xbox. And he said, oh, this is great. It'll help pass the time while I'm starting my 2-week quarantine in Canada right now. He's up in Vancouver, and they are getting ready to start filming the Peacemaker miniseries that is coming out of the Suicide Squad movie that's coming out next August. They actually don't start filming until January, but obviously he's up there for pre-production. But given our stringent rules and guidelines on people entering the country, he's in a 2-week quarantine. So what better way to pass the time than to play Xbox on a new system? But yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, he's here. He's ready to get going. I mean, he's not here. He's in Vancouver, but he's ready to get going on the Peacemaker. So I'm assuming this is gonna be a great character because I have no inclination of who this guy is aside from what we saw in the Suicide Squad teasers from Fandom back in August. And John, that's all I got for news, bud.
All right, look at that. That was pretty good.
Okay, thanks.
when is the Snyder cut coming out?
So that is
bring it up.
Fall of 2021.
Fall of 2021. It feels like it's like right around the corner. We're like almost into 2021, and we were like, this is not coming out for like another year. But this is the only thing with a solid release date. Quote unquote,
yeah, well, so it's the fall. So I think it's targeting for October, November of 2021. There's been a lot of news about that we actually haven't spoken about because sometimes it gets to be a little bit too much, especially surrounding the Ray Fisher allegations against John Berg, Jeff Johns, and so on and so forth. And again, those are allegations, and we're not going to get into it now. You can definitely go ahead and look it up. But there is some other news that we haven't talked about, and that was mostly that Ben Affleck, I think Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, and somebody else. I don't know if it was Ezra Miller or not. They were there. They're filming extra scenes. So this is not. We talked about this way back in the summertime on the main show, and we talked about whether or not they would be pickups, shooting some additional photography, or just finishing off this project. And when this thing first broke in like June or July, until now, it went from 30 million up to 70 million. It's like a 4 to 5 hour extravaganza. Darkseid, the Joker, Deathstroke, there's a whole bunch of people that are going to be in it. It's going to be absolute bananas and chaos. And we've got obviously new scenes are being filmed. So with those actors, so we have a potential and the possibility to have an actual proper interaction between Ben Affleck's Batman and Jared Leto's Joker. If you wanted that.
Because the fans demanded it.
So
I think say that
Jared Leto demanded it is what I really think it was. So
okay. So yeah. any movement on the release the air cut for Suicide Squad? I feel like we haven't covered any news for that.
No, because I've always thought that to be like a bunch of horse shit. But I will say, so David Ayer tweeted something, I think it was last week, and I'm going to paraphrase for those, so please don't at me about it, but I'm going to paraphrase what he had said. But essentially, he said that Warner came in and took away the movie from him and essentially cut 60% or half of his movie or whatever. They cut. and redid it. So, maybe I should just try to see if I can find the actual quote. But it was enough for people to say, like, well, see, there you go. There is there's his director's cut. It's out there. Will we ever see that come to light? I have no clue. I mean, I don't know, man.
I suspect that footage doesn't even exist. It was probably during the scripting stages, probably that DC kind of like, stuck their fingers in the pie or whatever you want to call it, and was like, oh, you got to fit in Joker, you got to fit in this big giant villain, and we want like a big CG ending, like, because I feel like if you're gonna do Suicide Squad the way that they did it, why would you hire someone like David Ayer for who does stuff like Last Watch and Training? Like, was he was contributor to Training Day. He didn't direct it, but like writing wise and stuff like that, like he seems to do like a different type of movie, which I actually like usually, but that Suicide Squad was definitely not it. So,
so he's done some. Listen, I'm a big fan of Fury, that tank movie. I thought that was really cool. If you haven't seen that, it's definitely worth a watch.
Brad Pitt.
But you know what? I think that DC were trying to emulate what Marvel had done by hiring certain types of maybe they were going the opposite way. They were hiring directors who had a vision on things. Marvel kind of didn't really get into doing that until the later part. I mean, Kenneth Branagh directing Thor. I mean, it's Kenneth Branagh, right? He directs all these Shakespeare movies and everything else like that. I don't think they really took a chance until they got to James Gunn with Guardians 1, right? So I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to find a way to find somebody who had a vision, who was cutting edge and would do something kind of mental, right? So here it goes. He said that they cut the first 40 minutes. That's the quote. October 31st is that they cut the first 40 minutes of his. It was ripped to pieces. I can't emphasize it enough. They cut the first 40 minutes. So maybe it exists. I don't know. Listen, man, if it's on Disney Plus on HBO Max and we get it up here in Canada on Crave, I will watch it because I already pay for it. But if it was like one of these premium, hey, if you want to own and watch the Ayer cut, you got to pay an extra $20. Not happening. Not happening at all.
You're not going to re-up for that.
No, man.
Oh, man.
But I would double down big time on Justice League. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you're all in for Justice League. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. I think it's the only thing we're looking forward to right now. You think it's going to hit before Wonder Woman hits?
The way things are going.
If we were taking bets, would you bet against your Wonder Woman 84 coming out?
It's a very interesting point because we know that Justice League is coming to Disney HBO Max, right? It's going streaming. So, but Wonder Woman, they're sticking. They want to. I mean, listen, they haven't moved from December 25th theater cut, so maybe they're holding firm. Maybe they'll do a simultaneous theater and video on demand cut. I don't know, or release rather, but they're holding firm for now. We are still 6 weeks, I guess, 6.5 weeks away. So we'll see what things could change. Disney just moved Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds and something else off the schedule for the end of December. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, but you make a good point, John. Maybe we do end up seeing the Justice League Snyder cut before we actually get to see Wonder Woman 84. Of note, though, is that I do know that I saw this week DC had planned a whole bunch of WW84 covers for their Wonder Woman book in December, and now they've shelved it or they're just rebranding it as the 80th anniversary. So, I mean, DC's obviously.
It's unclear. I thought that they were canceled, like in an update from one of our distributors, but I don't know. Maybe they've changed their mind because we did order a bunch of them because we figured people were just going to be hyped, collect a whole bunch of these cool Wonder Woman covers. So I guess we'll see. And the newest listing, the newest stuff we ordered did have a bunch of those Wonder Woman covers in it as well. So unless the timing of when they're starting to cancel stuff and when it's already being kind of solicited is still like behind schedule, I think they should just do it. What are you going to hold all these covers back for? Like, it's ridiculous. You might as well let people get into it now.
Yeah, no, I agree I agree. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, who knows, dude? The one thing I do know, apparently, John, you messaged me today. So we had uploaded a classic Heroes World podcast episode onto iTunes today. And I think we were talking about we fan casting. Is that what we were doing?
Yeah. We did our fan pitches for new DC TV shows, I guess, that could appear on HBO Max, and then also we fan submitted like a movie idea. So we had some pretty good gems in there. But I was telling Rob that his movie choice was a Flash movie, basically based off of Flashpoint, that would correct the entire DCU, and this was our episode like 5 or something like that. So this was before all the Snyder cut is announced and stuff. So I was like, you kind of called it, Rob. So other than you did want Ezra Miller out on the ASAP, and he was only going to be a cameo. So I think they're not going to go with you on that route. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And speaking of the podcast, so that was a good one, and we've got a new one coming out this Wednesday. So I guess we'll talk about that quickly.
Yeah.
What do we cover this Wednesday? I forgot already. It feels like it's so far away.
So we had Timbo Slice, friend of the show, joined us, and we talked about Mandalorian episode 2 of season 2. We did a review on that. If you're a fan of this podcast, if you are a fan of Heroes World store, if you are a fan of breathing and drinking water, you know that Andre is not a fan of the Mandalorian, so it'll be interesting to see his take on things with this episode. And we also discussed
kudos to Andre for sticking with it, because he has expressed his he didn't enjoy season 1, so he's sticking with us and watching season 2. I don't know if I could do it. If there was a show that I was like, I'm not down with this, it's not jiving with me, I don't know if I could be, enticed or enjoy trying to keep up with it just for the sake of hoping that it's going to change or.
I completely agree, because I know we're going to be talking about the second season of Transformers War for Cybertron, and I would rather choke on a turkey bone going down the horizontally than have to watch it, but I will begrudgingly. But I think, Andre, you're right, man. Andre is sticking it out, and he's committed to watching this. We have 6 more episodes of season 2, so we'll see how he is by the end. But yeah, good for him. And then we also reviewed 3 Jokers. The third and final issue came out near the end of October, so we talk about a whole bunch of stuff with respect to 3 Jokers. I gotta admit, I went real geek dive into everything.
You and Andre did a good deep dive, and I did listen to it back, because I do all the editing and stuff like that, light editing. But you guys made some really good points. So you guys will have to tune in to see who goes to which direction on this book. But Rob and Andre really do a deep dive into this book.
Yeah, I was really passionate about this book and some of that, and I'm still am passionate. But it may, just as a teaser for that, if you think I'm gushing all over the book, you're gonna have to tune in to find out, because it might not be the case.
All right, so we've covered the podcast. So what we want to do is we want to start interacting with some of you guys in the comments, but we're gonna I think we want to play the outro first, right, Rob? And then we'll come back, or
let it roll. We got a little bit of time. Yeah, who cares?
Okay, so we're gonna keep it going. So hopefully this works for the audio. If not, then we'll have to go back to the drawing board on that. So if anyone's got some questions, we're gonna scroll up to the comments here and see what we had at the top of the show. So if you're joining us late, this is the Heroes World Sidekick Show. Unfortunately, Joey is not with us today, but hopefully she will be back next week. So we miss you a lot, Joey. You can find her on Heroes Manufactured. They probably have a couple episodes coming up this week, and we're gonna hopefully kind of chat with you guys. So
Instagram at the Captain Canary, so you can follow her exploits there. And
Captain Canary.
Yeah. So anyway, people who are listening, if you're not watching the show and you're listening, this is the sultry sound voice of Rob, and the other guy who sounds like he's 12 is John.
Hey now.
Hey now. And now we're gonna answer some questions.
Go. So we We already got our chops busted for being a couple minutes late, so we got two regulars, Frazier and Lewis, in here busting their chops for not showing up. I think if you look in the chat and you see Heroes World popping up, maybe Andre tuned in or someone is hacked our account.
I actually thought it was you. That's why you weren't paying attention to get me that Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, pay attention. Good friend of ours, Kevin over at Toying Around, dropped in at the beginning of the podcast. He's got an excellent unboxing podcast, not podcast, live show on YouTube. So every Thursday he goes through a bunch of toys and opens them up, so you can get that thrill of opening new toys and watching them do that. So that's a fun show. I got random comment to the story. Thank you very much, Richie. We love you too. We got a reference to Lewis Law making fun of me, my game stalker. So yeah, definitely don't play video games with your windows open. I'll pull up out front and watch you from the street.
Yeah, York Region Police will probably be called in.
Hey, get out of here. All right.
Investigating. Lewis said he played the Avengers game. The campaign was really good. It's just that the game kind of fell flat. I think you and 800 million other people probably agree, Lewis. John, when you said that you had the demo was 7 levels long,
it was a lot of game. So it makes you question when they give you a 10-minute trailer for a movie. You're like, what's going on here? Something's weird, right? So they give you 7 levels of a game, then you're kind of like, hold on, why are you giving me so much game? This is kind of weird, right? So that could have been a telltale sign. Andre does, I'm pretty sure it's Andre, didn't like the designs. And I actually heard this a lot when the game came out. People really did not like how the Avengers looked in this game. And I wonder if that's part of like why it did so poorly.
I hated the look when they dropped that trailer at, I want to say it was E3 a couple years ago. I remember tweeting about like, why does Captain America need 4 layers? Like he had like body armor on top of body armor, and then he had like a vest, and then body.
You're saying he looked frumpy?
It was ridiculous. Like, how it's not. Listen, it's comic books, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need, like, why does Captain America need to have 19 bulletproof vests on rolling around, right? I mean, it was ridiculous. The whole thing, look, I get you're not going to get the actors signing their likenesses away, and so you have to do something a little bit different. But guess what? Spider-Man did it, right? They did it for the Sony game.
You can unlock other costumes in the game, though. So I'm surprised that they because this feedback I feel like was there from when they announced the game. So I'm surprised they didn't kind of like decide to go back or fix quote unquote fix things.
Well,
so, yeah.
I think releasing 7 levels of a game it's like you said, it's too much. Hey, remember freeware when you used to go to the CompuServe and you would get the 99-cent?
Yeah, you get that free envelope disc or whatever.
Yeah, and it'd be level 1, maybe 2 levels of Doom or Wolfenstein or whatever, and that was it. That was in the 90s, man, and like your early 2000s. How did Square Enix not figure out that they were going to give you 7 levels? It's ridiculous.
Andre was asking if we're going to talk about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming. I'm not familiar with that. I did see him post about it. If Lewis, if you're still in here, can you give us the lowdown on this Mass Effect Legendary Edition? I don't know if it's a rehash of the game. We know Mass Effect is Andre's jam. So that's pretty exciting. And Andre did mention that the Xbox.
Check out his sweater from tomorrow's episode because Andre is rocking Mass Effect. Yeah,
and then he does mention that the Xbox is tomorrow, which we're recording this on Monday, and if you're watching it live, it's a Monday. Tomorrow's day, so Xbox tomorrow if you manage to get the pre-order in, and then PS5 this Friday. So we'll see how crazy that's going to be.
Well, so now Sony has come out and said that there is not, like, don't expect there to be any physical stock in stores on Friday. Like, good luck. You're not.
Just shipping?
They're just shipping to the pre-order. So any store that you had pre-ordered with, they should have it. But if you're just walking in on a Friday, you're going to line up early at Best Buy to roll in to get your hands on a system that you haven't pre-ordered for Sony PS5. Good luck getting it. Sony has said there's not going to be any in stock. So, I mean, that's interesting. I've been kind of watching the reviews. Have you seen any of the reviews on the 2 systems?
Nothing yet. I remember I saw a clickbait article that said the but I'm sure I think it was encased in like a plastic display box, so the air probably couldn't get out. So that was totally a clickbait story.
Okay.
Overheating systems. Andre jumped in here with some of the Mass Effect details. So he said they were revealed on N7 Day, which was November 7th. Frey Lewis said not much detail, but I think Andre's got the detail here. So let's see. All 3 games with DLC remastered, but not redone, spring 2021. So that's a big deal. I like how do you feel about these games getting leveled up, like kind of like classic games getting refinished and redone for the new generation of systems?
Yeah, you know what? I don't mind it. I think here's the reality, man, is that we're used to, listen, there's a lot of great games I enjoy playing on the Xbox 360 or whatever, the PS3, and I've been, knee deep in the PS4 for the last number of years. You get accustomed to seeing these games play, like these, native PS4 games or Xbox One games playing. They look a certain way, and then if all of a sudden you jump back to another game, you start to notice, like, oh, I didn't remember, like, GoldenEye, they had no hands and fingers. They were just square blocks.
Like cubes.
Right? Yeah. Like, you're like, I love that game. And it starts to pull you out of the experience a little bit if you're playing some of these games. I think the only caveat to that would maybe be Nintendo. I think Nintendo has that nostalgic factor that it doesn't make a difference. I'll still play Super Mario Brothers 3 or even this original Mario Brothers game. But if you're looking at more of these, games within the last 10 to 15 years, even 20 years, it's hard to go back to some of those games and get the full enjoyment factor because we're just so accustomed to playing games with much better graphics. Right?
Especially when it went from the 16 to 18-bit era up to like actual polygons from PlayStation and stuff like that. I really want to grab the Tony Hawk remaster because me and my buddies used to jam that game so much. So I'm glad that it has been redone and it's not going to make you throw up when you watch the watch the screen, like the graphics, like I've seen people. You ever seen people post those memes of the old Tomb Raiders and she just had like a bunch, like the square boobs and everything like that?
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty big difference. So we're gonna dive back into the comments here. So we got Wacky talking about Ben Affleck can always play Daredevil again if he fails at Batman.
Okay, so let's talk Daredevil. Did you ever watch that movie?
I did, and I watched it after the fact, after everyone had trashed it.
Okay.
And I thought it was actually okay, aside from Bullseye with the whole "I'm Bullseye."
They had it carved into his forehead, right?
It wasn't carved, but it was just in his head, like in the comic book.
Carved it into his head. Yeah, he carved it into his head. They showed
why? No, yeah. Well,
no, he took the head off. And it was like carved. It was like scar tissue.
Yeah, it was there, but I don't think they showed how he got it. He just did it to himself or something in the movie.
Right, but it was still carved into his head.
In the comic, Daredevil does it to him, which is a pretty epic moment. But did you ever watch the director's cut? Like, is it that much better?
I had a buddy of mine, Keaton. I saw Daredevil, and I was in the theater, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's a great movie!" And he's like, "There's something wrong with you. If you walked into the Daredevil theater thinking it was that good," I was like, "It's amazing!" And then upon watching it a few more times over the years, it obviously waned, and I was like, "Oh, this is quite shit." People kept telling me how great the director's cut was, but I just never believed them. I'm like, I'm not even going to believe you. I'm not going to watch it. I have no interest in seeing it. So no, I never saw it. Although I heard the director's cut's decent, and it's really funny because I'm the type of guy though, and I will die on the hill saying that you have to watch the Batman v Superman director's cut because that's way better than the theatrical cut. So maybe there's something to these director cuts. I don't know, but yeah, I never saw it.
Oh man, I'm trying to think if I own it on DVD or not. But that'll be. I'll go digging through my DVDs and see if I find it there.
Lewis, you can keep your Elektra DVD movies. I don't want to see the Elektra movies.
Elektra! I do remember watching that. That was like, I guess that was so bad that people just forget about it and they don't even mention it. But Ben Affleck gets Daredevil brought up all the time. So Lewis says he's unlikely to watch the first Suicide Squad, even if there's enough footage for an Ayer cut. Can't save the bad plot. Yeah, I think he makes an excellent point there.
Well, hey, I would like to ask, what are people's what was the problem with Suicide Squad at the end of the day? Was it that it was a really crappy plot? was it that we were promised a movie that they didn't deliver on? Like, were we pissed off because the Joker was not a proper, like, what we would interpret as a Joker? I mean, it was tattoos all over his face. Like what do you think? Or do you think it's just a combination of all those things is what caused that movie to fail as badly as it did?
I'm sure it's a combination of things for people, but for me, being the Ayer fan, like of his movies, like End of Watch and stuff like that, I think the threat that they dealt with at the end, so the entire, like, I don't even remember where exactly the turning point is in the movie, but when they have to deal with a threat that's like this huge thing that you're just
Egyptian
like,
god thing.
Them. Yeah. Egyptian, exactly. Yeah. That was the thing. Yeah. So they should have kept it as like they're a black ops team. They're doing like the kind of stuff that you don't see the superheroes doing. A little more ground level. I think that's my feeling. Like I like Margot Robbie. I did like that point. I did like Will Smith, except the pimp hat was kind of like over the top. But
yeah.
And I actually was willing to give Jared Leto's Joker a chance, like his interpretation with the Lamborghini and the teeth and the grill and everything like that. Like I thought it was like something different. It was something like, I guess, newer. So I was willing to give it a shot, but it turned out to be like super trash.
I had heard somebody on another podcast. They said, that the movie would have been a lot better if it was the Suicide Squad were trying to track down the Joker and Harley Quinn. And that's what it became, right? Like, that's their mission, was to stop the Joker and Harley Quinn. And that way you would have had a lot more interaction with the Joker. And maybe we all would have kind of grown on Jared Leto's interpretation of the Joker. I personally hated it. Although I was really excited when he was cast and he had those photos of like that super like lime green hair, right? And I was like, oh my God, like they're really going for it. No. So whatever.
Yeah, Michelle mentions the giant narrative mess.
Yeah, it was.
We'll see that. Scott actually, he said he liked it. Shout out to Scott.
I feel like Scott likes everything, though. I'm starting to kind of get this. I think Scott likes
no,
everything.
He doesn't.
I think so. I think Scott's favorite part in like Billy Madison is when they put the flaming bag of poop on the guy's doorstep and they all run away. I think Scott likes everything because he's just a nice guy. And that I think you could put a flaming bag of shit on a porch and light it up, and Scott would be like, that's okay. I like that.
He'd laugh it off. What a good sport. He'd
yeah, like, oh man, you guys are so fun.
That's an amazing attitude to have, though, if you could do
that. Yeah, so I wasn't a big fan of it. Not a big fan. Hit us up with some other questions before we have to get going.
Yeah, Lewis mentioned the Enchantress stuff, which I'm on board for. I think that enemy was too big of a threat for them to deal with. The threat could have been going on, and they could have cameoed Superman and stuff fighting that big threat, and then Suicide Squad is like in the background doing their thing. So like you don't know what's going on or whatever. So you can get an action sequence and you can get a Superman or Batman cameo. But then the Suicide Squad is kind of doing their like strike team Black Ops stuff in the background. Oh, we got a long comment by Andrew. I don't know if you want to dive into it. Let's go.
Well, I can read it. So
look at that. It takes up the whole screen.
Well,
go, Rob.
Yes. All right. So Andrew says Suicide Squad. I didn't hate it like some people did. Joker was pointless, had no impact on the plot at all. It's okay having him in the Harley origin bit, but beyond that, he was pointless. I don't think we got enough of the Joker to properly hate him on anything more than his looks. The final villain was the issue, the same issue that Justice League had. It's a largely faceless bad guy whose motivations are him being bad, and that's about it. It's very hard to do CGI villains, and maybe he's still typing.
It's stopped. Yeah, he might be typing still. So we'll get back to that. But yeah, again, the main villain. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, the main villain. And the Joker stuff. Yeah, it did feel like the Joker stuff was tacked on. I remember reading an article back in the day that said that Ayer had a plot that was Joker was the main villain.
Yeah.
And it didn't have the Enchantress stuff, which I think would have made more sense, because then the Joker character being inserted and having the plot development points that he did make more sense. He's going to come back as like a, whatever, like, the main.
But I do listen. Out of all that, I do think. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, and it's obvious that Harley Quinn is back. Margot Robbie is back, and it'll be her third outing as the character in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. But man, they brought back Captain Boomerang, Jai Courtney, right? I mean, he's reprising his role in that. That says something. I mean, out of all those characters, And all the ones that James Gunn is putting into Suicide Squad, and we talked about this when we did the Fandom recap episode. There's a lot of people we don't even know who they are, like Ratcatcher, is Polka Dot Man, there's everything else. But
Polka Dot Man sounds kind of awesome.
But I mean, he's bringing back Captain Boomerang. I think that's pretty cool. I actually quite like Captain Boomerang, to be honest with you, in that movie. So Andrew just finished off by saying it was really hard to do CGI villains and make it work. Thanos did it because they humanized him and his motivations, as well as him being a more human figure that you could attach to. Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, Marvel dropped a ton of money to make Josh Brolin's Thanos literally come to life. It looked like a proper villain. Although, Andrew, I will say the counterpoint to your argument is Oscar Isaac's turn as Apocalypse. He wasn't CGI, but man, that guy looked bad. He looked like Ivan Ooze from the first Power Rangers movie. So that's all.
Well, I remember back in the day from Blade 1. I don't know if it was on the special features or whatever, but originally the ending sequence, if anyone remembers Blade 1, he fights Stephen Dwarf in like a sword fight.
No, Stephen
Dorff.
Not Stephen Dwarf. Stephen Dorff.
Dorff.
No,
he was a pretty cool bad guy. All right. Anyways, that's your mispronunciation name for the episode. But he was supposed to turn into some like blood like entity thing. Yeah, and the CG wasn't quite there, and they were just like, we need them to fight another guy. Like so, and I think that was an excellent call. Like Blade, definitely one of my. I definitely got to watch that. Is that on anything right now, or do you have to own that on
I have it on. I have it on DVD. I actually rewatched it just before Halloween. I think it was like the 29th. Yeah. I threw it in. So yeah, he slices Stephen Dorff, and Dorff separates, and you have like the fake blood, right? And it pulls him back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, man? Blade 1 is a really great movie. It's a lot of fun. Stephen Dorff aside. It is a really fun movie, man. I
don't mind him.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you looking at it now, he's fairly young looking. So it actually, what it really made me is it made me really want to see Mahershala Ali start production on his Blade movie. That's what I would like to see, man. So anyways, I digress.
This one you might be more into, Rob. I'm not familiar with Monty Python's Meaning of Life. My apologies, folks.
Yeah, so Michelle just put a quote, a comment. She said, "The Joker in Suicide Squad reminds me of Monty Python's Meaning of Life, where another movie attacks in the middle of the main one, out of place and felt like a different movie shoved into the main one." Yes, yeah, for sure, Michelle. I completely agree. And John, you should be going back and watching the Monty Python movies. Okay,
yes. There is like a lot of like these classics that I have not been able to see because I just didn't have the ability to do it. Andre's making fun of me if I don't own it on Laserdisc. No, I don't own it on Laserdisc. Oh, Blade? No, actually, Blade is actually the first DVD I've ever owned, and I bought it before I even had a DVD player. I remember this very clearly. I bought it from Rogers Video, and it came with. Remember before they had the clamshell cases, they had the cardboard case.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
Flip.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah, and it had the flip at the front. And
bought it, and it sat. I don't remember when I got my first DVD player, but it sat until I until I eventually got a DVD player and watched it. So
you know what's actually really good? We should, and anybody who's listening to this, whether you're live with us right now, which thank you very much for sticking around, or if you're listening to us afterwards on replay or on Apple, iTunes, or Google, wherever you get your podcast stuff. Go back and watch some of those like early 2000 movies. Blade, you throw Blade 2 in there. The Crow, those movies hold up something serious, right? I mean, in a crowded field of the Batmans and everything else that we're dealing with, especially now with the MCU and the DCU and every other U. Go back and watch some of those like original movies. Even the first X-Men movie. I know we got the Bryan Singer stuff that we're not going to talk about, but if you go back and watch those original movies, X2, they are great. Like honestly, The Crow is up there. Is it on par with Avengers Endgame or Infinity War? No, because it's a different movie altogether. Totally.
I think it's just a good movie. I feel like it's not even a superhero movie. Yeah.
No, but
I feel like that's just
holds up something
good
fierce.
Movie.
Yeah, and you know what else is a really good movie based on a comic book was A History of Violence. Man, I loved that movie, and I completely forgot it was David Cronenberg who had directed that movie with Viggo Mortensen, who just came off Lord of the Rings and did History of Violence. And you know what, man, I might actually watch that movie tonight because I loved History of Violence. It's such a good movie.
You love a good history of violence.
I do.
The movie. The movie.
There's a lot of movies, though, that are based on comic book properties that are not superhero shit, right? Like you just said, The Crow is not a superhero, right? It's a tragedy. Actually, this whole story of The Crow and how what caused James O'Barr to write that and everything is tragic as all hell. It's a horrible story. And yet he found some catharsis in writing this character. And then we got this amazing book out of it. And if people haven't read the book, track it down. It's an amazing graphic novel. And then this movie is just phenomenal. And then you've got the tragedy that befell, Brandon Lee. So definitely go and watch The Crow. I could go on and on about that movie. It's amazing.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, it's a really well done movie, and especially it stands up very good right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It holds, like, there's a lot of movies to watch. Like, oh man, that's really dated. That movie, it's interesting. Nobody uses cell phones. Nobody uses pagers. Like, there's nothing to really tie it to the time period in which that movie was actually made. I don't know if that was a conscious choice or budgetary reasons or what, but it you can watch it now thinking that it just filmed it like last year. So that's how good it is.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting exploration into like how, like, I'm sure the budget for that movie wasn't very high either. Like I feel like it's on the lower end of budgets, and like now they're kind of gonna be I don't know if movies are going to be forced into these lower budgets now. Maybe you're not going to have these giant monster budget movies anymore because it's not going to make its money back.
Yeah.
Scott jumps in. I love The Crow better than a bag of burning poo. Yeah, he said don't leave the poo on his porch. He'll laugh at it if it's on someone else's porch, but don't leave it on Scott's porch, please.
But yeah, it is much better than a burning bag of poo. Daredevil with Ben Affleck, though, it's hard to say.
What's worse, Daredevil or Green Lantern?
Oh wow, John, that's a mind blow, man. I don't even know.
Me and my buddy Pat were chilling yesterday, and we started to watch. Aquaman is now on Netflix, and I feel like it's like the forgotten DC movie, because we were watching it, we were just kind of like, this is really good, like this is really impressive what they did on the screen. And then we were like, you know what, maybe Green Lantern's not as bad as we thought, or whatever, like, because Aquaman, like, I remember we did like it coming out of the theaters, but no one kind of talks about it since.
Yeah, it's really funny you mentioned that. I came out of the theaters, and I remember my son and I, we went and saw it, and we loved it. And then I picked it up on Blu-ray when it came out, and I rewatched it, and I was like, wow, I'm tired, this is horrible. And then, as you said, it came on Netflix in Canada, and my son was watching it the day, and I sat and was watching it with him. And I was like, oh, this is a lot better than I remember it. So, yeah, man, I agree, man. I think Aquaman is a movie that most people kind of forget about. It's so funny, though. My son's like, I don't like Black Manta's outfit. His helmet's stupid. I'm like,
I loved it.
That's the comic book, man. I mean, I'm glad they went with a comic book, but he's like, I don't like it. It's ridiculous. So I don't really know, John. You've hit me. Green Lantern or Daredevil, which was worse?
I feel like we've got at least 2 votes for Daredevil. Scott and Andrew are voting for Daredevil. Andre's jumped in here. He's for Green Lantern. And Fraser's saying Daredevil too. So maybe Daredevil. Hey, maybe Green Lantern's not that bad. Maybe we should do a Green Lantern rewatchable and see.
I'm down for that.
And see if there's any way to fix. It's not on any streaming service though, so you either have to own a copy, which I bet Rob does, or you're gonna have to buy a copy, which you could probably easily find in the discount bin. I remember watching Green Lantern way after the fact that it had come out and everyone had already trashed it, and I watched it and I thought it was not as bad as people said, but I haven't watched it since, so maybe I was just like, taken aback by the Hot Wheels Green Lanterns riding around and Ryan Reynolds' charm. So Michelle also votes for Green Lantern. Scott, my guy, he's suggesting we put in Tyrese to fix Green Lantern, and I think that would help, but I'm pretty sure that was a bad script.
So it's available to purchase from iTunes for $13 in Canada.
No, don't do it, folks. We're not recommending that. Check your bargain bin at your local Walmart And once you get to the bargain bin, look under it, and there's probably a DVD propping it up from shaking around. That is probably the copy of Green Lantern starring Ryan Reynolds. Is there a director's cut of Green Lantern? That's the next question. And if there isn't,
there's an extended cut.
There you go. Do we have to extended cut? All right, everybody watching right now. If you want to be part of this, watch Green Lantern extended cut.
Oh my God.
And Rob and I will re-meet. You're probably gonna have to give me 2 weeks to watch this.
You can actually buy both versions for $13. Although for whatever reason,
Rob's gonna watch both versions, so he can be our expert and tell us the difference between the two. Everybody else, watch the extended cut, and we're gonna see if Green Lantern got a bum rap. And that'll be the title of the podcast for a YouTube video. Did Green Lantern get a bum rap? That's it. That's Green Lantern. We're telling you to watch Green Lantern extended cut.
Oh my God.
We're gonna forego Daredevil right now because a lot of people are saying they're not sure, and Daredevil did get a lot of votes. So I think we should jump over and go. Is Green Lantern worthy of the trashing that it got?
I think we do it. I think we do it for the show. We all have to commit to watching it.
It was Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, right, as the female lead. I don't remember anybody else in that movie.
Yeah, well, Taika Waititi was his buddy, right? He was his friend, and then
and then he's like, "Boom! Look at this!" Right?
Yeah,
cool, right?
Oh, hey, I'm wearing a Green Lantern shirt. I just realized. Peter, was it Sarsgaard? No, Peter. Oh, who was it now? He played Hector Hammond. Peter Sarsgaard. He played Hector Hammond. It was like so weird. Remember, he had like the balding hair, and he was like, "Oh,
yeah." And then at the end, I think the thing just dripping on his head, and they were gonna lead into like a follow up or something.
Yeah. And at the very end, Mark Strong. Was it Mark Strong? No. Who was the guy? Because he's in the Kingsman. Anyways, the guy who plays Sinestro ends up putting on the yellow ring and chain at the very end of the movie, right? The end credit scene was supposed to set up this big, amazing,
which did not happen.
So
you should watch. I don't know if it's available anywhere. That if you watch the animated, they did a CG animated series around that time, and it was actually amazing. It was a really amazing show. And I actually watched all of it. Scott's dropping a little thing here. He'd rather watch Bloodshot again. I guess he wasn't a fan. We never got around to doing that Bloodshot.
No, episode. But I read. Apparently, they're the directors or the writer producer have gotten together, and they are committed, or at least focused, to wanting to do a Bloodshot sequel with Vin Diesel.
I didn't mind it. It felt like an 80s.
No, it didn't.
80s action movie. It did.
No, that was a flaming bag of crap.
I don't know if it was a leave it on your doorstep flaming pile of crap, but for what was put into it, like the money that was put into it, and like the CG, I thought looked pretty good for a low budget movie or quote unquote low budget movie. So Michelle D's got the correction. Peter Sarsgaard was
Sarsgaard. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Michelle.
And then Lewis says do a podcast on worst comic films. I think we kind of cover worst comic films. I don't know if we did.
I think we kind of did. I felt like we brought up some of the Green Lantern, but I don't know. Maybe we haven't. Maybe we have to go back and actually do the best of the worst.
The best of the worst, but we'd have to what movies would qualify as the worst under a particular Rotten Tomatoes score of 50% or lower or something like that.
Well, yeah, because the problem is Andre would throw in Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War.
Yeah, that's why Andre's opinion of the worst would definitely be very different.
He's the outlier.
So maybe we'll have to do that.
What's that?
Yeah, we'll have to figure out some determination as to why it is a bad movie. Does it have to be nominated for Razzie or something, or does it have to be or maybe movies that bombed, maybe box office bomb.
Well, you could go with the Ang Lee Hulk movie if that was the case, right? That movie bombed. Although I will say visually that movie was stunning looking. I mean, the Hulk was way too weird green, but the panels that he used, the transitions, it looked like a comic book come to life. I thought it was really cool. I actually quite enjoyed that aspect of the movie. I didn't really enjoy Nick Nolte playing Nick Nolte, a drunken old hobo who talk like this. Bruce, you're my son.
That's pretty good. We could get Robin there. Who needs Nick Nolte now? Oh, so here, look. Fraser brings up a good one here. Catwoman with Halle Berry. And I got a message from one of my buddies the other day. I don't know what he was into or what he was watching, and his message to me was, is the Catwoman with Halle Berry in the DC continuity of movies?
Nope.
And I didn't even bother replying to him because I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what was her name in that? Because it wasn't like, it was a whole new Catwoman, right? Like, I don't remember.
I don't think I ever watched it. I think I watched the trailers. I might have bought the DVD on super bargain discount.
Oh, see, I never even bought it. So you know what else I haven't seen? Oh, wait, I saw part of it, but I is Jonah Hex with Josh Brolin. Like before
That's definitely a bad one.
Jonah Hex. Oh, I want to. Yeah, was it Constance? Is that what her name? Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Yeah, I don't know. Andre is asking if he has to watch more bad superhero movies. I don't know. Maybe some of these movies Andre is okay with. And Scott's talking about the worst. How do you pick between the Fantastic Four movies? You're absolutely correct. Those movies. Although the original Alba, who else was in it? Michael Chiklis ones. They had a little bit of a fun factor in
Chris
there.
Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans. That was it. Chris Evans, and he was actually really good.
Yeah, but you know what? I actually liked Rise the Silver Surfer because I thought the Silver Surfer was amazing in that. We talked about that in one of the episodes, like how great it was to see the Silver Surfer. It's just too bad that they made Galactus a cloud, much like they made Parallax a cloud in Green Lantern movie. For whatever reason, they're just like, we're gonna make shit cloudy, and that's what's coming at us.
Here we go. Michelle's got you. Patience is Catwoman's name in that album. Oh God, Michelle, really? Oh man, I feel like I gotta watch this now just to see that. Why? Like, why? Why would they do that?
I remember. This is gonna sound really weird because I have no reason to justify why I know this, but I remember Oprah had Halle Berry on like through like a satellite, and she was interviewing Halle Berry, and she was live. I think she was in Montreal, and she was like live from the set of the Catwoman movie, and people were like clapping and cheering. They're all excited that she was taking over the role of Catwoman from Michelle Pfeiffer, and Oprah's like, yes, Catwoman, like that. And she may be giving away a car to somebody. And
your Oprah needs some work. Your Oprah needs some work. It's not as good as your Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte definitely dominates.
Bruce, you're my son.
Do you also have a Gary Busey in there?
Yeah. I do have a Gary from Point Break. Yeah. At any rate, so yeah, it was. I don't know why I remember that clip. I don't know why I had Oprah on. I have no clue. I can't justify it.
You know why. You know why. Don't even lie.
So at any rate, it was that movie was just a massive pant load. I mean, her helmet was atrocious. Her headgear was atrocious. It was horrible. Horrible movie. Lewis just said that Jonah Hex wasn't that bad. He thinks you think wrong. Incorrect.
Fraser brings up, and someone just brought, I think my wife just brought it up to me that Halle Berry went in person to get a Razzie, and I think she was holding her Oscar for the movie that she won an Oscar for that same year. So I think that's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, that was Monster. No, what was that?
Monster Ball?
Yeah, I can't remember, but man,
if they could redo it now, man, Halle Berry looks fantastic right now. So if they could redo it, man, I wonder if she would be up for it. She did a wicked job in John Wick. So maybe if she came on for a redux of Catwoman or Catwoman multiverse, or she appears in Rob's Flashpoint Flash movie where all the universes are shown. Andrew did point out that she was not included in the Flash TV show where they went to Batman 66 and 89
for a reason. Yeah. They even went with the Birds of Prey in that Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
I forgot.
Yeah, they went and they got that Ashley Johnson, whatever her name was, and she reprised her role as she was a daughter of Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. And I guess she was the Huntress is what she played in that show, right? And they even had her in that crossover event, and yeah, so wow, I watched that. I watched Birds of Prey. That was an atrocious TV show.
Jesus Christ, Rob, look at you.
Yeah. So, anyways, man, I think we've stumbled onto another podcast topic that we're gonna have to maybe do a bracket. Maybe we have our great listeners. We put up like I don't know how sports brackets work.
Yeah, like a tournament. Yeah. You put up two movies against each other, and which one wins the worst, and then we find out what's at the end.
Yeah, and we watch it and rate them. And I think maybe that would be a really good idea. So we put up the worst superhero movies or comic book based movies, and we watch them and we rate them, and we'll see which eventually we get down to the two, and which will be the final two, the winner of the worst movie. That's a good idea.
So what we would discover if it is in fact going to be Daredevil versus Green Lantern.
Well, we'll have to do a randomizer to find out if those movies end up against each other at all. We have no idea, right? But it could end up being that bad. It could end up being Howard the Duck versus.
No, I think some people actually quite like Howard the Duck.
I don't think anybody who is sober likes Howard the Duck. I think you're wrong.
I think a lot of people they've got a special place in their heart for that duck, and I think Leah Thompson was in it, right?
Get the duck out of here.
Get the duck out of here. All right, Scott's making fun of our lack of sports knowledge. Yeah, you're totally accurate, Scott. although I don't know what Rob's excuse for. He is white, so I am.
For those not watching on YouTube, it's true. I am. I'm sorry. Anyways, man, it's been a lot of fun hanging out, and it's been really good being back live and chatting with people and some of that. And
see, look at Michelle. Michelle has got a soft spot for Howard the Duck. I think a lot of people really liked that movie when they were growing up.
I liked it watching it as a kid as well, but watching it now, no.
You never know. I don't know. I think that nostalgia factor, and yeah, Scott agrees. Yeah, it was Leo Thompson. So yeah, thanks for tuning in live, folks. That was a lot of fun. Like Rob was saying there before I interrupted him.
Again.
Knock knock. Who's there interrupting cow? Anyways. Boo. I was waiting for you to say something.
Because you actually did the joke and the punchline all at the same time, you dummy.
I did.
Hey,
rookie mistake.
Quickly before we go, I would like to just get a quick sense of the individuals who are watching right now. Let us know later in the comments if you're watching replay, if you like the live show or if you like the canned shows. So let us know real quick before we sign off for that. Do you guys like us doing the live show?
We had contemplated a hybrid model where we do the typical Sidekick show and then we delve into the live show. So basically very similar to what we did today.
Yeah.
And obviously Joey would be here helping us moderate these comments and things like that. So definitely let us know. Yeah, look at it. Scott's down with coming on live. Yeah, Michelle's in for live. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, we had an okay amount of people here. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in.
Lewis is wrong before we go. He-Man, it's not a comic book movie because it's based on a toy. Sorry, Lewis. Doesn't count.
They made the comic book. That would be up for debate because they had to make that comic book in order to sell the toys.
That's right. No. Oh, get out of here. You're pulling from the toys.
The toys that made us.
Yeah. Or whatever. You're perversing the facts, John. It was based off a TV show. They use a comic book to help sell the toy, to help sell the show. Get out of here.
I own that on DVD, by the way. Masters of the Universe. I own it on DVD. So
like you
that
bought
should not
it?
be a surprise. I bought it on DVD, yes. And it was semi-recently. I feel like I only bought it maybe a couple of years back.
Worse. Anyways, man, it was really good being live. It's so great talking to everybody. Michelle, Scott, Lewis, Andrew, Frazier. I know Andre was on here for a while. Everybody who jumped in, and for those who left, thank you so much for coming on. It was a lot of fun live. Joey, we missed you, but hope you're doing well. John, it's been a blast, man.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Thanks for chopping it up. It was fun to do this. So you can follow Rob at Rob Gaudet on Instagram and Twitter. Unless I get in there and change his hashtag to Rob the Chopbuster, old school. And then you can find Heroes World on the Facebook, and Instagram is our most active social media. And of course, this YouTube channel, which you may or may not be watching this live or whatever. And then wherever you follow your podcast. So please subscribe to us and click the videos. We're uploading the older episodes as well. So give those a listen. We had some really good moments in those that we will not be able to replicate. So hopefully you can join us for those and have fun.
Fan casting and a lot of battles on what was better movies, DC movies, MC movies. Those are all being uploaded to the iTunes and podcast platforms. So if you haven't heard those past episodes, please go on and listen to them and share them. Tell your friends to share them. It's just a lot of fun. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, folks. We're going to play the outro, and we will see you again next week, probably around this time.
Tune in on Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday podcast, 9 a.m. It will be live. Thank you, folks.
Awesome.